Nigerian democratic experiment. You wonder why they, you wonder who they are. The electorate are the Nigerians who are eligible to cast votes in each successive general elections. They are presumably those citizens of Nigeria that have satisfied the constitutional requirements of competence to vote and have represented themselves for registration as potential voters. What this implies is that regardless of their competence to vote, constitutionally, where the eligible voters fail, neglect, and refuse to register to vote, they will be unable to exercise any franchise. It's happening already, and the 2023 general elections will be contested by different characters, like you want to call them. Now, some of the aspirants are driven by delusions of sainthood and an inflamed ego, while some might have good intentions. We're still watching them. So today we're asking, how can we educate the people that will elect these people to office, to look beyond presidency and ahead of the 2023 elections? Now, please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. You can also tweet at us at Wayshow Africa 1 with the hashtag Wayshow. So, Uti, I want to bring in Dele in a minute, but I just wanted to say to you that I am so guilty of this, right? Prior to recent time, maybe 2019 and all of that, my ideology of voting is that if a particular party is the first candidate I'm voting for presidency, I just go across board for both, not caring. And funny thing is that maybe it's just this particular season where I know a few of the House of Rep members, the Senate members that are going for Senate and all of that, that I am even paying attention. I am very guilty. And this is supposed to mean that I'm supposed to be discussing issues that concerns the nation. So you can now imagine the number of people that don't even bother who their House of Representatives would be, who their senators would be, who their House of Assembly member would be, who their councillors will be. Nobody just cares. So once you are supporting a particular party, what the usual thing to do is just carry your thumb, go across board, just wherever you see that party, you just go. And this has been the system, because we're trying to see how we can move this nation forward. And we have to be very strategic about, the right people, putting them in those places that have critical roles to play in decision and policy making, that they can change policies that eventually would transform the Nigeria that we're hoping to transform. But what are your thoughts on this? What's your experience like for voting?
Well, I have to agree with you. And I don't think that it's a case of some. I think it's a case of all. But for me, I like to look at the foundation. I think you've gotten to the point now where something has to give. Something must change, which is why you're paying attention. Previously, what mattered was presidency, governors, and the party. That's what mattered. But as the situation has worsened, keeps worsening, it's come to a head, and people are like, look, we want change, we want things to be different. But for me, the key focus there for me has been the issue of accountability, where we've always said, the country is getting worse, the country is getting worse. Everything is either pointing at the office of the president or is pointing at the state governors. Nobody really cares about anything else. When we talk about things going bad, nobody's talking about your local government chairman. Nobody's talking about your senators. Nobody's talking about your House of Reps. They come up in different parts of the conversation, but the way the entire picture fits together and what each person's responsibility has never come into the consciousness of, in my opinion, has never come into the consciousness of the average man. When we think about elections, what we think is president, what we think is governors, which is why when we have elections, you see that in some areas nobody comes out and then people start saying things like, oh, we didn't know there was an election. So even at the height of this, we all are waiting for 2023, we all want to see what's happening. Elections happened a few months ago.
Nobody came out.
Nobody came out. People said they weren't aware. So clearly, we're still not
even the one that happened in Lagos.
Exactly. We're not at that point yet where people are even on fire to say, you know what? And this is the time, maybe sadly, maybe even a bit too late now, because the candidates are all picking up. It's been a show in the media for the last few weeks, picking up their forms. Everybody's making this big fuss. But the fact is that even you as the electorate, if you're not part of a party, you're not even part of this process of selecting who the eventual candidate will be. So that in itself is
even another issue.
Is the higher level of understanding, because if you are given limited choices and you say you want change, but you were not part of the choice process, and you are then presented with, for lack of a better word, the devil and the deep blue sea, well, I don't see how you're going to get much change from that.
Absolutely. On that note, Dele Farotimi is a lawyer, author, and member of the Citizens Rally Against Oppression. He served as president of the student union at Lagos State University, LASU, between 1994 and 95, and was called to Nigerian bar in 1999. He established the Dele Farotimi & Co. in 2002, a full-service law firm, which is known as the name DF Legal. He remained in active legal practice until his retirement in 2018 at the age of 50. He's a political commentator and author of the book Do Not Die in Their War. Dele Farotimi is very passionate about the birth of a new Nigeria, and there is no better guest to be having this conversation with than himself, and he's joined us live via Zoom. Thank you so much, Dele Farotimi, for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much for having me. Good evening, Uwa. Good evening, Luti.
Good evening.
Thank you. So, Dele, so you heard our banter on this conversation, because this is something that I am very guilty of. I can't lie. Even up until the last election that I voted in, until my PVC got stolen in after the 2015 election, even up until 2015 election, I was very guilty of this. I was not paying attention. All I was just focused on are the executives, you know, the what's it called, presidency and governor, and that's it. You know, so it was just anybody I vote there, whoever is representing your party. I was not paying attention to the individuals, and we've seen it time and time again, because you are an advocate for someone. I mean, for policy changes, for a lot of things that would eventually reform, you know, the system that eventually births this new Nigeria that we're praying for, right? So how do we even start this conversation when we say we want to look beyond the 2023 elections, right? I mean, presidency rather, again, around this 2023 elections that is just around the corner. How do we even start this conversation, educating the electorate what is important and what they should really, really focus their energy on?
Let me say this to you, Uwa. I'm always happy to come on your show for one key reason. You think ahead. Even though you start with all these, your bants and everything, making light of it, but deep inside, there are some deep issues that you treat.
Yeah.
And this is one of them. I was advising some people a couple of days back, and I said to them that in order to understand Nigeria sufficiently, you must maintain a degree of insanity that allows you to compartmentalize the issues and then deal with them in their separate compartments.
Yeah.
The problem with us is that we have mostly, I'm sorry for the peeping sound, that's NEPA doing his thing. Welcome to my country.
No, it's fine.
Here is, we take issues and then we look at the whole forest without seeing the trees. So we keep thinking presidency. When they are selling you change, they will be talking presidency. But the error we have made for so long, which you admitted to earlier on, is that we have ignored the individual trees that have made up the evil forest called Nigeria. When you're dealing with a situation where governors are ignored and they too blame the failure, their own failures, they blame it on the president. And then the people in the state houses of assemblies are ignored, and then they blame the failure on the presidency. But you notice that the single denominating factor that is common to all is that wherever you go across Nigeria, the ruling class has become richer, even as the people have descended into penury. So what you then what we were discussing a few days ago was that it is time that we localize these elections. If the Abuja monster is too far to touch, the one in your state capital is not too far away. The one representing you in the state houses of assembly is not too far away.
Absolutely.
In actual fact, there are several people who are working towards ensuring that in the coming election, we are able to dispassionately and objectively examine the candidates who are running for House of Assembly, those who are running for House of Reps, running in the Senate, those who will be running for governors. It's not enough to be talking about the angel that will take over Aso Rock. We must make sure that that angel that is taking over Aso Rock with his brilliant plan has people who are taking over state houses of assemblies, who are taking over state governors' houses. It cannot be business as usual.
Absolutely.
You see, that's why I say you get ahead of yourself with some of the topics that you deal with. You speak, and we are speaking as though there will be an election in 2023 because we live in the bubble of Lagos. And yet, you dare not drive more than 50 kilometers outside the city perimeter. Whichever city in Nigeria you might be living in, you cannot drive 50 kilometers outside the city limit without being afraid that you might either be kidnapped for ransom or killed by one non-state agent or the other. And yet, we are planning an election in less than a year. But if we do come to that bridge, we must understand that until we localize all of these elections, those who have been ruling in your state, what are their records? What have they done before? Those who are asking to rule you now, what are their records? What are they offering you? There is a complete failure of governance, and everything cannot be blamed on the federal government. It's very easy. Okay, look at, it's painful, but I live in Lagos and I have no choice but to talk about where I live. It is impossible for the hegemony in Lagos State, for instance, to blame a federal government. It has had effective control of this state for 23 years. So it is time that we now begin to look, okay, so what is its record in education? What is the record in healthcare delivery? What is the record in road infrastructure? What is the record in transparency? What is the record of service delivery to the people? What are the returns on the investments? These are questions that must be asked, and it cannot be lost in the noise of somebody who wants to be president or not. It is enough that the system demands a radical overhaul. But that radical overhaul will not happen simply because you have an angel as the president. It is imperative that you must be voting to a plan, and it cannot be only for a president. Even if you have an angel for president and the people in the House of Reps are nasty, the same ones that are there now where they are offering mic in the National Assembly, well, nothing is going to change. They will just be offering mic. If they are not offering mic, they will be silent. Enough is enough. Something will happen. People will be fainting inside the National Assembly. And what has happened? So, and then to crown it all, it will still be the same people who are able to pardon the token ones that might be convicted for their crimes. So if we truly desire change, you can't be looking to the presidency alone. We must localize these elections. You sit down in your state and you are blaming the Fulani that is in Sokoto. Meanwhile, the Fulanis in your Sokoto, your state governor who speaks your language, who is your own brother, your state house of assembly members, your council chairmen, their councillors, all of these people live with you. But you are talking about the one that is far away in Sokoto that is even suffering as much as you. These are the questions that we need to be asking of ourselves as we are approaching 2023. It cannot be business as usual. We must localize all the elections. We can't just be talking about the presidency alone. Who is going to all the other offices? These are issues that must be tackled.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, you know, when we have conversations like this, I struggle to think about the options that we're given, because that's really what it is. You know, when you go to vote, you're not voting from the entire 200 million people in Nigeria. You're voting from a limited pool. How do we start to even ensure, because in all the stories that we've been seeing in the press, in the media so far, everybody picking up the forms, it's still the same set of names. So even if we say today that we're interested and we need to look beyond those two offices, right? How do we even start to get the right people to the fore if we say we truly want change? Because if I get there and I say, okay, I've expanded my knowledge beyond the executive and I'm looking at all these other arms of government, really, what choices do I have? How can we improve that process?
What I'll say is this. You know, I said earlier on that who has this, you ladies generally have this capacity to jump the gun. You go a little further than others are discussing. Right now, everybody is talking about the different people declaring their intentions. But you ladies have gone beyond that already. You're already talking about the localization of the election. That is actually about 3 steps ahead of where we are right now. The way we have sought to conceptualize this struggle, which is why I spoke to the compartmentalization of the issues.
Yeah.
We've seen this as, okay, at this stage, we're talking to people about registering to vote. The next stage would be pressurize INEC to ensure that it does its own part to deliver the voters' cards. The third stage was meant to be, okay, so parties by now would have completed their primary processes and would have clearer pictures of who the candidates are. Now, understand this. We must, of necessity, look beyond the 2 that have identified themselves as being grossly incompetent and unfit to govern, and that is both APC and the PDP, which are one and the same. In my opinion, there would, of course, be outliers amongst them who might think that they can change the system by joining those parties. If we have indeed registered to vote as we are hoping that people have done, our voices will be sufficient to influence, because let me give you an example. Last election, we had about 27 million people voting in the presidency. That's in spite of the underage voting and inflation of votes and everything. And yet, this is a country where you ostensibly have close to 90 million registered voters as at that time. So we're thinking, even if we can only double the number of people who goes to the poll in the coming election, it simply means that there is a decisive voice coming to the poll. Now, that decisive voice lends strength to younger elements who are in smaller parties, who have good ideas but do not have the finances to compete with these monsters. And it also gives strength to the outliers who might be in distilling machines but who have good intentions. The intention of our own coalition is to look at candidates across board, across states, across local government areas. We will, where possible, queue behind parties and candidates and campaign for them based on our conviction as to their capacity to deliver. However, there are no vote runs anywhere. Nigerians must understand that the changes required are systemic in nature. No matter who the man is that we might be voting, it must be that we have made those decisions on the basis of the ideas and the issues represented by those men, not the parties. Unless the party platform offers a basis for conviction that they will do as they have said, because they are fronted by men of honor, not those who will say they will restructure with one breath, and the next moment they'll be telling you they don't even know the meaning of the word restructuring. So, since we are speaking hypothetically to the possibility of an election in 2023, I would say that the critical point is that we're at an inflection point in Nigeria. There is a unique opportunity because certain forces are aligning that were never really truly aligned. And if this continues, we would have a unique opportunity to make perhaps a dent in the armor of this horrible system. But we must be clear as to what we want. Even if they made an angel the president and every other office is occupied by these same people, well, it's the same thing. You just get a worse, maybe perhaps a more articulate, more intelligent version of Buhari, but that's the best you get in 2023 if we are not careful.
Absolutely. You know what? Let's take a break. When we come back from the break, very quick break, we'll continue the conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Now, if you just tuned in, we are having an amazing conversation. We're discussing the electorate and we're asking, can we as the electorate look beyond presidency ahead of this 2023 elections? And we have with us Daily Farotimi. Now, please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-8038-4663. You can also tweet at us at Wayshow, Africa1 with the hashtag Wayshow. Uti, you had a question?
Yeah, so no, I even wanted to take this comment because it was sort of in line with what Dele just said. It says, great ladies at Ways, the narrative is going to change in the next elections. A lot of people are going to vote for individuals, not parties. Politics is beyond social media discourse. It's a game on a real table with realignment, reconciliation, and re-strategizing for a better society. And he also says, nice dress all of you got tonight. Evidently, it's Salah celebrations. Why I wanted to read that, because what I took away from what Dele just said was the fact that it's no longer about business as usual. You said, I just go and I thumbprint all the way down. Now we've got to shine the spotlight on the individual. So it's like building a fantasy football team. You pick one person that you like from Manchester, one person from Chelsea, and you build a team. So what we're saying now is that the group of people that we're looking at are people that, it doesn't matter what party you are. If we are educated enough to understand what you bring to the table, that's what we need to be choosing, and that's how we need to be viewing the elections. So for me, if that is my roadmap now, how many parties do I then scan? How many people do I scan? I'm looking for cheat sheets. So my question is, how can you help me simplify this process and understand? Because if we truly, a lot of people are well-meaning, but let's be honest, it's overwhelming. No matter even when you have good intentions and you want to look for information, I don't know if there's anything that our guests can give us that just says, here's where you should start, here's how you should even begin this journey. Because a lot of people truly want change, but they just don't know what to do.
Absolutely.
Uti, I'll say this to you here and now, and you can take it to the bank. The first, the second, the third, and most important of all of the things you need to be looking out for in whoever you are voting for any office, including dog catcher in the coming election, restructuring. Nigeria must be restructured. It's not just about the president. When the president, assuming we do find a candidate who pushes the gospel of restructuring, pushes it, it must be echoed by members of his party running for the House of Reps, running for the Senate, running for the state houses of assembly, running to become governors, because that is the single most important thing in the Nigerian agenda. It is even the only way that we might, not that word, might survive the impending disintegration of this construct of lives. Without restructuring being clearly placed on the table, don't just ignore the person. The person just wants to be the next person at the feeding trough. Nigeria has been emasculated by a constitution that is essentially a coup against the people. That coup against the people has sustained a lie for 23 years and counting, or almost 23 years now. But it can't sustain it for much longer. So if somebody is talking to you, not just the presidential candidate of the party, don't let somebody come and start lying to you like they lied in 2015 when they were talking restructuring, like they lied when they put together the El Rufai committee just before the 2019 election. It must be an article of faith. Our people must understand that the foundation of the entirety of the Nigerian mess we are in today is that constitution. Change anything you like. If you don't touch that constitution, Nigeria will be worse off this time next year and the year after that one. But one more thing, just to drive this home so that we all understand it clearly. The Nigerian ruling class as a whole, barring few exceptions, have no problem with the 1999 constitution. They are very, very happy with it. So anybody who is telling you he wants to change it after the election, but he can't talk about it now, is lying. He simply wants to get to that office to be the one to manage the system of stealing.
Yeah, because I was going to...
The problem with Nigeria... Yeah, go on.
Sorry, because I was going to say to you that this current structure that we are having, right, it's beneficial, right? The center is so powerful. It is beneficial to all politicians put together across all parties, right? So who will now say, is it, you know how we say it now, so now my turn, me no go can't get opportunity to take its money. Do you get? So who do you think would really have that willpower, even if they say it and they echo it? Yeah. What is the guarantee that when they eventually get into power, they would actually bring it to effect?
Let me tell you this. I just concluded a series of talk, a 4-part series, and I titled it Your PVC or Your Gun. You know, my people have this proverb. They say, where the old man lie down, sleep, what he sees there, the youth that is perched on top of the Iroko tree will not see it. Nigeria is at an inflection point. If it fails to find a path to restructuring peacefully, it will end up in a war that it has not planned for. Some people are planning for it. A lot of us are blissfully unaware of the consequences of some of these things that are happening. But I'm saying it full chest. Being able to put together the different parts that I'm observing on a daily basis and that I've been observing for the better part of my life, that the current system has run its cycle. It is not sustainable. If it does not disintegrate Nigeria in their quest for 2023 power, it would have rendered it so completely ungovernable that if you do not give the people fresh hope to drive the impetus to try and see if we can salvage this country, it will dissolve into violence and anarchy. Our strengths have been constrained by a constitution that we have no say about. Some people have already lost their capacity to reason with this system. Look, anyone who is truly desirous of changing Nigeria but is afraid to place a restructuring plan on the ballot, because without it being on the ballot, nobody can touch that evil document called Decree 24. But if somebody is brave enough to place an alternative plan on the ballot and the party can adopt it, it energizes the people, douses the tension, particularly in the southeast, in the entire southern part of Nigeria, where people feel as though they are not even citizens but slaves within their own country. Let's not fool ourselves. With that, I've said a lot of things that most of you sometimes think are outlandish. But I challenge anyone to point at a single one of those things that I've said that have proven to be false. I am saying it without equivocation. If Nigeria does not find a way to peacefully, using the electoral process, place restructuring on the ballot with a clear plan, we'll end up in that war. Worst case scenario by 2024. Worst case. We're already there. All you need to do, put a map of Nigeria on your wall and then look at the part of Nigeria where you can travel 50 kilometers outside any city limit in any part of Nigeria. And then you tell me if we are not already at war. What we need to be doing is envisioning a better future that we can sell to the populace so that they might pull back from the brink of the abyss to which most of them have been pushed. If we are not at war, why are people crossing the Sahara? Why are they dying crossing the Mediterranean?
Absolutely.
Because we are not Ukraine, they are not calling it war. Because we are not Ukraine. We are already at war. People are escaping. They are not migrating again.
They're escaping. So Dele, you mentioned one. You said restructuring. You were supposed to give us 3 points. Do you want to quickly touch on that before we take some more comments?
Oh, those is restructuring.
Oh, okay. So that's 1 to 3.
That is the anchor.
Okay, awesome.
It's not just 3. To infinity.
To infinity.
Every other thing flows from there. Every other thing flows from there. Every other thing. Without that, Nigeria is already dead. If you don't restructure, it will die. It's that simple. I might sound like a prophet of doom to some, but use the evidences that are gathered by your eyes and your ears. Look around you. I just told you. I know that sounds funny to you, but I dare anyone drive 50 kilometers outside your city limits. And if you're a policeman, wear your uniform and move around in the southeast. And then tell me we are not at war. We are lying to ourselves on several levels. And the only thing that will bring us out of this self-imposed state of war, free the people for heaven's sake. Let Nigerians become citizens in their own country. Is it too much for our politicians to understand that you cannot continue telling a person is a citizen of the world and then you make him a slave in his own country? It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that.
Okay, so let me take some comments. Please always put your names when you bring this comment. A leader is a person who thinks about the future, not today. A leader is in Nigeria saw the Lekki Free Trade Zone, Eco-Atlantic 10 years ago. Today, the largest investment in that area is happening. For the first time in this country, we are moving in the right direction. The 1999 Constitution is the 1979 Constitution as amended. I believe Awolowo contested under the same constitution in 1979 and 1983. Always put your name, because if you don't put your name, we don't know who you are. Uti, you have some comments.
Okay, so I have a follow-up comment from Bobby Kennedy in Jalingo. He says, politics for me is a medium for people to get emancipation and be emancipated from the clutches of oppression and imperialism. They don't know we know more than they think. Most of us are guilty of not voting from the councillor up to the president if we really want to get it right in Nigeria. And the second comment is from Daniel Illo. He says, good evening, my dear beautiful sisters of What Are You Saying? #ways. Happy Salah to you all. Concerning the electorate looking beyond presidency ahead of the 2023 election, let us be careful this time around. APC promised us change and they ended up deceiving us and themselves. To me, APC means all promises cancelled. Let us be very careful in 2023 and pray that God looks into the heart of a genuine person who will take us forward to the next level. Nigeria should not be deceived by the parties. Let us vote for individuals to go forward. So Sister Uti saying you are looking beautiful is an understatement. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Daniel. You know, Daniel, you're also making a big mistake, because where he said that let us pray that God brings a person that has a good heart, we are still focusing on that center.
We're taking the responsibility away from ourselves.
Yes, from ourselves, right, Dele? So can you just help us? Because, you know, whenever we're with you, we're having so much fun and the time just keeps flying, you know. Can you help us see this thing, that it is beyond us saying we want to elect a particular person, because that is not the solution to Nigeria's problem.
It's a set of people.
Do you understand? So how do we start to see?
You know, so, I am beginning to align myself with a school of thought that they propounded this theory that Africans have been deliberately trained to learn by rote instead of being trained to use their brains. It's unfortunate that we keep chasing our tails like a demented dog. We have tried personnel changes all these years, but because ignorance has been so weaponized in Nigeria that people spout nonsense full chest. Look at the man that just sent that comment. Shebi Awolowo ran under the same 1999 constitution. That's a blatant lie. And then the other one was talking about a person with vision who took people's land and built free trade zone. Free trade zone, go and look at the number of people who have been rendered homeless, not gotten any compensation paid to them. You are pointing at lies as achievement. This is because people don't bother to use their brain and look at the evidence of their own eyes so that they can then make up their mind. The fact of the matter is that systems are designed to produce results. Nigeria is designed to produce exactly what it is producing. It is not by accident that men that we thought were good men would get into these offices and they achieve exactly what the system had designed that they would achieve. Nonsense. When you build anything without purpose, without vision, what happens is that perversion sets in. Nigeria was not built with purpose. Hegemonies govern nations everywhere in the world. You bring your hegemony, then you take on the smaller ones, you assimilate them for everybody's progress. But not in Nigeria, because the hegemony governing Nigeria is not built with vision. It's built simply for the acquisition of power and money. impunity and privileges, nothing more. So when you now keep cycling people through a system that is designed to, it's like asking someone to swim through a sewer and then come out clean at the end of the process. It's not going to happen. The problem is that our system is designed to produce evil. Unless you redesign that system, it is not going to produce anything good. You would have the occasional systemic errors, some of them good and beneficial, not all are particularly good. The current president is a systemic error. He is the height of the hubris of that system. Another one might come that will be worse than that. But if you don't want bad rulers, reconstruct the system that is consistently producing them. Which one? In 23 years, you cannot actually count up to 5 persons. You would have fingers left on the hand if you were counting 5 persons that have worked for the people within this system. The system will frustrate the person if they ever had any such intentions. And if they didn't have any such intentions, it will enable them to do what the system is already designed to do. Steal, kill, destroy. End of story.
Wow. Kitty, any final word?
I mean, one thing is consistent. Every time we have Dele as a guest on the show, you learn a lot of things, and sometimes you feel like you come away from the conversation a little bit more despondent than when you started it, just because the
No, I don't do this to me.
No,
don't do this to me.
No, but it's because you're telling the truth about the reality of our situation. Because if I take nothing else away,
without hope.
Yes, no, but the thing is,
you without hope.
It's the change of mindset now for me that says, how do we even begin? So it's a bigger problem. If I change the people, the system still exists. So the system is designed to make evil of good men who are well-meaning. So right now, as a collective, we are all carrying our batons and our pom-poms, and we're saying, let's get the right people. But then
if we put in the right people,
that what you're doing is actually still feeding this same system that doesn't work. So in fact, it now becomes a shift in mindset to say, okay, I need to put the system before the person, but then I need the people to change the system. It's like a chicken and egg situation. So,
give us some small hope in a minute.
Leave us with hope.
Because we're having a part 2 of this conversation very soon.
Oh, is that me?
Yes, I said you should give us some hope.
Leave us with some hope
in a minute.
Let me just say this to you. A few years ago, I traveled over to Republic of Benin. That was in 1998. And the woman selling corn by the roadside in front of the hotel I stayed in Cotonou, she had a mobile phone. And I came back to Lagos to the specter of having to be begging people to use their Not 9 Not or go to a NITEL office to make my phone call or a business center. Why am I talking about this? Today in Nigeria, the same Nigeria, we're talking 23 years later, 24 years later, I'm able to sit in my house and use a telephone device to connect to a TV station that is not NTA, simply because the Nigerian energy has been unbundled. Our problems are not intrinsic to us. We are not bad people. We are good people. Down the length and breadth of this country, we are very good people. It is the system that has hobbled us. However, if we ever get a few who stand up in the recognition of the fact that you cannot repair the disaster that is worrying, what has happened to us cannot be repaired. If anybody is coming up to say that I can repair Nigeria or will restore, there is nothing to restore, there is nothing to repair. You have to reimagine it. If Nigeria is reimagined, the Nigerian people are more than enough to turn Nigeria around.
Absolutely.
There is something I said to you when we were off here. Okay, I didn't know where.
Yeah, we're so sorry, but we have to bring you back again. As always, we hope you honor our invitation. Thank you so much, Dele Farotimi, for a fantastic conversation. Oluwatayo Ali says the system is so bad that it frustrates the good and destroys a lot. I went to INEC office to get my PVC that was lost. I was told nonsense and convinced that they can't confirm if I really registered or not. Well, why can't they just check the system? So this is a big issue. We're going to bring a part 2 of this conversation. As we always say, we talk about things, you know, hoping that, yes, people would listen. Thank you so much, Uti. Thank you again, Dele Farotimi. Now, before we go, do ensure you follow us on Instagrams at Ratio Africa. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and more importantly, follow all our engagements on social media, like, share, invite your families and friends to watch and follow the conversation. Now, if you missed today's quote, here it is again. The most important office, and the one which all of us can and should feel, is that of the private citizen. We'll see you guys live tomorrow at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Enjoy.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Cross Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Are you wondering why we're still wearing the same clothes? That's because we never left you. We're back in the lounge to continue this discussion on traditions. Should we stop some? But I like some, though. Anyway, we'll be having this discussion after the break. Don't go anywhere.
Yes, we're in the lounge, like Anne said, but we're still in the lounge with Saudat, Chisom, Fumi, and me, of course, Adesuwa Onyenokwe. Where am I? But you know what? The beauty about the conversation we are having is that it doesn't ever end. They can continue online, and we don't have all the answers. Mm-hmm. But I think quite clearly from the beginning of this conversation, we all agreed that traditions... No, Anne has been...
She doesn't want me to show this my skirt, but I'm going to show it anyway.
You have introduced yourself now.
Yeah, but I'm still going to flaunt my skirt. My name is Anne.
Hey, are you a fly?
Yeah.
You know, because Anne's into, it's okay. I'm sorry, my dear. Before they say I use old woman sense. Remove your shine. No, but sincerely, I mean, I think we just finished that conversation without realizing we had done half an hour. And so we came back here. And would I be right if I said we all agree that traditions have their place?
Yes, of course.
But there are some that are not too good. Yeah, but I like the tradition of lali and aphrodisiacs and getting them ready.
No, I'm so for that.
Oh, you're so for that.
Everybody's for that except Auntie.
No, but honestly, the question I ask, which is why I think we should focus, I think we should focus on that. There seems to be so much preparation, right? When it comes to traditions, the focus is more on the female. I know women are important. After all, that's why today's woman exists, because I know women are important. But then if you're putting so much pressure on women to be a particular way, and then everything you do is to try to make her be good for the man, isn't that somewhat negative.
I mean, you all have been coming with that thought, and I've been suppressing saying why it is. But you know why it is.
Why?
We have evolved from a very chauvinistic society. Most societies, and not just us, everywhere in the world, the men had the power. The men laid down the rules, and who would not lay down rules to benefit themselves? So that is the root of it. Why do you think there was feminism and all those things evolving, coming out of traditions generally? That's because the root of most traditions, because they were handed down a long time, were rooted in chauvinistic societies. And it is that we hopefully are, through feminism, through education, through civilization, through women being themselves aware and not allowing themselves empowered, are trying to get rid of. So there's no point asking a question about what we know why. That's why.
I also want to say that sometimes it's how you interpret. A number of these things are not because they want to suppress the women, really. It's because they want, because quote unquote, the woman is the weaker sex. So some of these things are to protect. Some. It's how you interpret. Some are to protect. Or rather, maybe the intention was to protect. But you are protecting what wants to be protected. I want to fly. Let's take an example when you look at the culture of religion. As a Muslim, they will tell you that, well, as the culture is, oh, the woman is supposed not to do, some Muslim countries, the woman shouldn't drive, the woman shouldn't do this, the woman should do that. It's not like they said you should not drive. The woman should not do things that are strenuous. So those countries will tell you don't drive because they want a man to drive. As a Muslim, in the culture, I'm not supposed to cook my husband. He's supposed to make sure I eat. Yes. And I'm not bound to cook for him. But I have to eat.
When they don't allow people drive cars, it's to curtail movement. So you can give them the excuses.
No.
But it is to curtail movement.
It's the interpretation.
Look, then, if we all want to interpret that we are being protected, those societies should remain in those rules.
No, what I'm saying is how people interpret it, how they interpret a rule. Take, for example, I mean, I learned here, talking to you on the show, that Islam says you marry 4 wives only if you can love them equally.
Well, it says
yes, equally.
If you can afford it,
so
you can love them equally.
So, but then you are now saying that Islam allows you to marry 4. Is that true?
Adeswa, how many people are able to sensually love 4 women equally?
They can.
That's what I'm saying. That means it doesn't say you should marry 4 wives.
Interpretation of it. And also you see, the rule is one thing.
Are you saying, you said they can?
The rule is one thing.
They can't. She says they can't.
The rule is one thing.
Application
and the application is another thing.
Can I ask you
now, sorry, excuse me. Let me just treat that driving thing. Look at here. If you're a driver in Nigeria, you're a big girl. If you have a driver, you're a big girl now. But because it is your choice to have a driver. Now look at another community that is telling telling a man that you must provide a driver for your wife. She must not drive because it is strenuous. Now the woman, she's enlightened now. She feels as if, wow, they're holding me down. I can't go out by myself. So to her, it's punishment because somebody is driving her. She can't drive by herself. No, it can. That's what I'm saying. It can be.
Punishment is not because somebody is driving her, like you said. It's a big girl that's driven. It is not the fact that she's being driven that is punishment. What is punishment is that
people should have a choice.
She is not allowed to drive. Yes. So she doesn't have any control over her life.
But it is those that are interpreting that law that are saying don't drive. What we're trying to say is that protect your wife, don't let her do things that are strenuous.
So look at this question. So my question is, so in Islam, you're not allowed to marry 4 wives unless you can take care of them, right? Who does joining?
Who does the joining?
Husband and wife.
The
imam.
So at the point where the man came with more wives, was he asked that is he capable?
Which is they'll ask you the question now. You say you are.
Which is what comes to application.
Application.
The imams are men.
They're there now.
So the point is that's what comes to application.
We have to be careful in going down that path. Because if you go down that path, then you're telling us to check it by each application. We need to decide whether a tradition is negative or positive, is right or wrong, rather than be trying to see whether an interpretation makes it okay.
Let's go to Christianity, where, for example, in more Orthodox churches, a woman can't be a pastor or a priest.
Yes.
Because Apostle Paul said at one point in time,
but
let them be seen, not be heard.
But now everybody's fighting it. Yes. And there are now bishops and things, female pastors everywhere.
It was a culture. That's why it was existing, right? So even if it's in the interest of the woman, when the times change, shouldn't people change, even if it's in the interest of the woman?
Yeah. I mean,
so,
like, I have something to say. So my dad, I always would have to refer to him in this tradition. So he bought lands, properties in the village for us, inclusive of me. Of course, I'm the first. So, in fact, I even have the largest and the only. So I have like the largest portions of land. But then I know, but I know some people are asking why, because one day I'm going to get married and leave, and what's going to happen? Does it make sense to have this much property? What am I going to use it to do? And I mean, it doesn't make sense to me because I could come back to use it to do something.
What did your father say?
One day he just brought all of us and he was like, oh, this is yours. This is your brother's own. And he was just like, do whatever it is you want to do.
Money episode.
No, I wasn't.
Because I was going to say, I'm sure you got the reply, what you should reply them when they say, what are you going to do with all that money? You would have been able to reply them that it's for your self-confidence, it's for the power you need, and it's for spending.
So isn't that a function of how the father has chosen to apply something that exists? He's chosen not to listen because
you hear that in the Igbo culture, women are not allowed to inherit. But he's not looking at that now.
He's taking care of.
And then I like what he's doing because, why wait until you die and leave chaos?
Yeah.
So why don't you do it now that you're like, I see very educated and enlightened people when they die. You should preempt the sort of thing that's going to happen because you're not unaware of the fact that this is what happens. So if you want to if you have 3 daughters and a son, and you know that when you will die someday. Do you understand? So why don't you gift it to them while you're alive and know that that's done? Because traditionally, that thing will never get to them.
That's another tradition that's not good.
Yeah, but that's
women don't inherit.
We need to go to the root of those
traditions. In my culture, women
inherit. Change it rather than hope that people apply them well. That's how I think.
Culture and religion.
Those traditions.
In Africa.
They're so intertwined.
They are so intertwined. Yes. When we talk about, sorry, I have to take you back to this 4 wives thing. What is happening here, especially in Africa here, is not about being a Muslim, marrying 4 wives. It's about being an African. The only difference is that the Muslims have excuse to marry 4 wives. There's so many Christians and non-Muslims that have married 4 wives. The only one that will open his mouth and tell you why he married is because my religion allows it. Keep quiet. We're not the only Muslims in the world. There are Muslims in the US, in the UK, all over the world. So why is it Nigeria here or Africa here that you now marry? You see, that is the thing.
I think Saudat is fighting that battle. So the Muslim men stop using it as a excuse.
Yes. If you want to marry, if by choice. Well, I can answer that question. He has to. Yeah.
I was going to say, and it shall remain so.
Amen. If you want to marry 4 wives, say, I want to marry 4 wives. Don't come and say because I'm a Muslim. Because many men have done that. Stop using Islam as your excuse. Don't do that. Yeah. Do marry and be, like my people say, do it with your chest. Just and say, yes, I want to. Own it, yes. And you see, there's nothing, I'm not going to say that it is wrong to marry more than 1 wife because some women actually marry women for their husbands.
Yes.
So if you want to do it, it is okay if you want to do it, especially if because even some children that are born in polygamous homes, they like it. They say that it is a good community for them. So the culture and the tradition that we have, if more a large percentage of it for me is very good. I love being a Nigerian. When I am out of this country, I am intimidated. I know that a lot, especially when people know that I am Nigerian.
Oh my goodness.
I like the effect, especially in Africa.
What's the culture you take away that's so obvious?
Nigeria itself, the identity of being a Nigerian, the fact that we are confident.
Very confident.
When you go outside this country and you see a black person, that is confident, raising their voice and like, you know, excited, 9 out of 10 times, that is a Nigerian.
Can I even say an
Do you understand?
accent? So why do we even like try to form other people's accent? A lot of people outside Nigeria really love our accents. Every time I go to Starbucks, there's always this guy asking, he's always adding more whipped cream because of my accent. He would just say to me, should I add more? Just so I say yes. You're like, ooh, I love it. And you know, and then I come back here and everybody's trying to form British. In fact, no, I don't even know which it is, you know.
But don't worry, when we go outside this country...
Can I ask the young people?
Me.
Yeah, you're included. You are included. Can I ask the young people, what do you think we need to do? Because let's get to the crux of this. Do we need to work to discontinue bad traditions, or should we be preaching application in a better way?
Start from here.
Yes, this has taken me to a discussion I had with somebody recently about adoption. So she said her dad had 2 girls and then wanted to have a boy, and then the mother was old. Her mother right now is maybe like in her late 60s, 70s, and then they wanted a boy, and then they started to apply to different places. But then they said that in their family, so I don't know if it's an Igbo tradition, but in their family, adopted kids are not recognized. So it was something that they had to fight for a while, because the man knew that he doesn't want all the property that he had to go to waste, because they won't give the daughters, he doesn't have sons. So now he went, and eventually they had signed up with an adoption home. Eventually they found twin boys. They wanted twin boys because just in case one dies, or just in case one is lonely. I'm telling you, so this is the reason. So they had 2 boys and they adopted the 2 boys, and then the family now accepted. So now when he died, these boys were 4 years old. They say, master this, master that. He's survived by sons, master this and master that. Now those children have even relocated to the US. And I'm thinking to myself, the property that he was fighting for, and the reason why he has left his children to this woman that cannot, she's 70. She's incapable of fighting these battles with these children right now. At the end of the day, is there a better way that we could have applied it, in the sense that this adoption, if it's more accepted, would more families have less problems?
So you're saying
are we going into tradition?
Try to work at changing the wrong or not so good traditions.
So in this sense, maybe we can apply. So people have been burnt by adopting children that have been a menace. That's understandable. So maybe in this one we can say, let's tweak it a bit. If families are open to it and you see that these are people that are distressed and they need this, then why not if not?
Okay, I think what you're saying, I mean, we're going to another topic here now. You're saying, so traditions can be changed?
Or should they just be applied?
So it can be tweaked. Like in this one, you can be tweaked, not necessarily.
In application. Thank you very much. And that was a very good way of saying it, and that we can tweak some of our traditions for modernity. So we shall go on a short break now, and we'll soon be back with more on tradition.
So, if you've missed any part of this conversation, you've missed a whole lot. I've been learning so much about traditions myself. My aunties and sisters in the lounge have been sharing so much about these traditions. And, Auntie Fumi says that we should keep a lot of these things. Should we?
I'm not saying keep the bad.
Okay.
But there is a lot in the good.
I think Chisom had this perspective. You're the youngest person.
I did ask Chisom to tell us what she thinks we should do to traditions that we don't consider very good. Is it to tweak them or to try to get rid of them?
I think we should get rid of them. What is bad is bad. What is harmful is harmful. And, you know, bet new traditions, bet new things. I mean, something started someday. So there's nothing that we cannot start anew, you know. So anything harmful should forever go. Be discard, like drinking the water from your husband's funeral, you know, shaving your hair. I mean, if you want to, out of respect, I know a lot of people, when my last brother died, my mom shaved her hair just because she wanted to.
I like you bringing that in, because the shaving, a lot of people talk about the shaving a lot, but I think sometimes the shaving is just to honor the person that has...
take off all vanity.
Yes.
It's okay, I just want to think about myself. I want to mourn.
Yeah, and she just did it for her son, and people were asking her why, and she was like, it's my son.
Exactly.
And that was just it, you know, and everyone...
honoring.
Yes, even in the Igbo culture, daughters are also expected to shave their hair if their mom actually passed. And then I've had this conversation a lot of time, and I'm like, I don't know, but you know, if that time comes and I want to, I will.
Well, you know, the point you raise is quite key. If it's not harmful and it's not hurting anybody. Like what I told my sister-in-law, that look, listen, doesn't remove anything from your skin. So long as it don't make you drink something, just let it be for peace sake. But where we get a problem is where there's no choice. So you must. And you say you must because, I mean, if you lose somebody, even if I shave my head, because you made me say I should shave my head, it doesn't mean I'm going to really mourn that person. Because I mean, I have a friend, when her husband died, they were separated, they were quarreling, and they made her shave her head. Say when she was sitting down there, she was just cursing the man's dead body. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't. She was cursing the man's dead body, but she did it so there won't be any trouble. But she was cursing the man. So let it be. Do what has to be done.
Let's go on a lighter note. Let's talk about the traditional. What would I call it? The masquerades and the fun things we do as you know.
Okay, I think that takes us to the point of what is the good and what is the bad. You were going to ask us.
Yes, of what we do and what is enjoyable. What is enjoyable? That's the word, because she had given us an example for Sadebe. In fact, when she was saying it, I was thinking.
No, let's hum one of the songs.
Okay.
No, what's this now?
We can sing Ekwe.
Ekwe. No, that's not Sadebe. That is Onyeka.
No, I was wondering. Yes.
No, but it's home song.
So, yes, something like the Lagos States and the Egunguns, and tell us a bit about that.
Halloween is tradition for other cultures.
Yes.
Well, it had its roots in witchcraft, though. But we have our own other traditions here, like the different masquerade. Although we have the what's this masquerade? This masquerade now that they do a lot in Ikorodu and Ekpe. Oro.
Those are not.
They are traditions. They are not. They are horrible ones. Their women are not supposed to come out.
Yes.
But then you have your festival that they flog women as well. You see, almost all of them are. Why?
It's all against women.
Oh, kind of, but they are fun looking at and stuff like
One
that.
tradition that I love, I'm not Yoruba, but I always like when they dobale at the wedding. Like, I'm just like,
especially when the guy is coming to bed.
Yes, like that. Not only beg. When my children came for my husband's 60th, and people didn't know they flew in, and my father-in-law was in the function at the function event place, and he didn't know that my boys came from abroad. And a lot of people in the room didn't realize they came. So they came, they went changed. So they came into the function hall and they just went straight to their grandfather and just prostrated. And our very close friend, Ibo, who has known the children for forever, you know, since we were married, he's been our friend, so he knows the children. So he asked me, he says, how did you get these foreigners to be doing this? I said, I don't know how they don't do it for us, but they're not going to be in the room with the grandparents and not do it. You know, so there are those kind of things that, and you're not forcing them. It's something they've realized that it's a sign of respect in their culture. And it's not harmful in any way. And they just did it. I can imagine how wonderful my father-in-law felt.
And so, well, you know what? I'm a Yoruba woman, and I don't like the fact that, well, maybe I have to accept that it's not all cultures that they are women kneel down. But you have to curtsy. I just feel it is so rude. Maybe because I'm Yoruba, you see someone older than you. If you have to curtsy. You can't just stand and say, hey, Auntie Adesoa. You know, you just have to bend a bit, do something, just to show like.
This is how you shake.
Do you understand? Just
when you shake an elder, you do this. You hold your hand. It's like you're bowing.
Yeah.
But you're not like bending.
Yes.
I went to an Indian party recently, about 2 weekends ago. I couldn't. He's my neighbor. He's my neighbor, and I've known him for those years. And it was his birthday, and I'd never met the father. The father came. And then the father came to make a very short speech. And then he got up from his seat, exactly almost like, by the way they do this, he touches his father's shoes.
Yes,
Did he touch his head with it?
No, with his hand, he touched his father's shoes.
And
And then all the young people there also came out and touched the man's feet. And I thought, we're not the only ones that dobale.
So what you see, the thing is, whatever it is we're doing, it can also become eye service. If it's for real, it's good.
Yes.
What Chisom said are key into that. When something is good, keep it going. When something is bad, tweak it as time goes on.
Tweak it, or she said get rid of it.
Get rid of it. Or you can even...
She says tweak it.
Yeah. So you see, this Egungun thing and all this Oro, Oro, or Maung, you call it Maung, they are great. They are great things. They are great things that people can watch. So instead of saying they should be beating women, let them be beating sticks or trees.
In fact, they can tweak it. That's
that is where tweaking works.
It becomes a tourist attraction.
Exactly. Every Christmas in Calabar, they have the carnival where they have the masquerade parts where they come out and display. Then they also have a show that's usually on the 30th or 31st where all the ekpe and the masquerades come and people pay to watch. So it's also making money for them. They come and they do all the displays and everything's very beautiful and nobody's beaten or anything.
But we're not allowed to come out. Like
the
women, females, and they come
to
to like our compound.
So the question is, all these females, leave women alone, Joe.
Exactly. Let us come and enjoy.
Leave women alone. They should stop because hiding. Everything.
So now that we have enjoyed ourselves with the good, can we just highlight what we would go around and we'll end with Adesua. So let's start with you. Let's start with you and go this way.
What do you want to say, the bad or
good?
The good? My good?
I like the bad. We've been enjoying ourselves with the
I need to mention this good that I want to keep. Quickly. You see that Calabar something? Yes. No, not Ekpe. You know, preparing the woman for marriage. We need to keep it. Okay. I like them to keep it.
What do you want us to get
rid of?
What do you want
to get rid of? FGM, breast flattening, and all that. They need to get rid of it.
Anything? Can you remember anything?
Yes, just down to like the masquerades and all the superpower about not letting women be there. They should scrap it. I want to watch them and dance with them and give them high five and chop, for being such beautiful gangster.
For me, it is any tradition that is precluding women from rights of enjoyment and rights of participation. I'd like them to be rid of.
Okay, I like that. Anything that women are not going to be part of. But I also want to say that anything that is harmful, anything that will cause pain, anything that would be dangerous at the end of the day, if anybody participates in that sort of tradition, should be put away. But then if it's not harmful, it's not going to cost anything, then why not if not?
You said FGM, not everybody knows.
Female genital mutilation, what some people call circumcision for women.
Right. Yes. Just for our listeners,
I guess.
What. So,
like they said, whatever hurts, if it hurts somebody else, then don't do it. And, whatever the reason is, we didn't even give the example of these people in China or Japan that they tie people's feet so they don't grow.
You can, although it's not our culture, but
but it's true. The thing is, the point I'm making here is, anywhere in the world, there will always be something that you do, which is a power thing because you want to bring the other person down. Yeah. What we're saying here is, whatever the culture is, if it is negative, most times around here, it's negative to the female, we're saying. So we should begin to look at it again and say, hey, is it really right? And also, the women themselves should also begin to look at it and say, look, maybe we should do it differently. Because at the end of the day, these widowhood practices are inculcated by women.
Yes, women are...
this circumcision is inculcated by women. The fattening room, by women. Everything that we do is women that make it happen. We are custodians. So we can begin to say, yes, we want to raise our girls to be good wives, but we also need to raise our boys to be good husbands. Yes, we want to be able to curtail our girls from being, which also cause our boys from being. Let's do it both ways. This culture, so let's just remember that we are all human beings, equal dignity and equal rights. I think, for me, that's what matters. But if it's good, keep it. If it's bad, throw it out, like Chisom said. Should we? Are we gone? We're good. So at this point in time, we will say bye. Remember, the conversation doesn't end here. We can even talk about this continuously. The message is on screen where you can go join TW Conversations, whatever it is. Chisom knows. What is it?
At TW Conversations on Instagram.
Okay.
Yes.
So please follow us.
Follow us. We'll follow you back.
There is no voting on social media. To vote, you would require a permanent voter's card. To get your PVC, visit cvr.inecnigeria.org. Create your account with a valid email address and start the registration process. An activation link will be sent to you. Click on the link and activate your account. Fill out the form, pick and submit a convenient date and time for your biometrics. Print the application slip, which should have your QR code. On the appointed date, go to the nearest INEC office for your biometric capturing. Thereafter, you will get a registration slip to pick your permanent voter's card when ready. Get your PVC today. This message is from Plus TV Africa.
Well, being an anchor is very fantastic, but it comes with a lot of expectation and it comes with a lot of pressure, and that's because you're on the spotlight and there are a lot of expectation, including English language and how you put out your work there. So it's a lot, it's encompassing. So being in front of the camera requires that you brush the subject, very apt, and of course there's always an objective as regards every topic, and of course you're able to deliver, the content at the end of the day. Sometimes you have guests who you'd have to put out questions who would do the answering of some of these questions. It therefore requires you to be very creative with your questions, which will provoke at the end of the day the answers that you want. In the long run, it will just help with educating, informing the entire public. So anchoring can be fun, all things being equal. It can also not be fun, all things not being equal. However, happy Workers' Day to all of the anchors and fantastic broadcasters out there.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the Babin, I pay my rent. From the Babin, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and listen to them.
On Plus TV News now, Muslims in Nigeria joined their counterparts around the world to mark Eid al-Fitr, signaling the end of the fasting month of Ramadan. Muslims in Egypt, Kenya, Somalia, and Sudan celebrate Eid amid economic hardships. United Nations say more than 3,000 civilians killed in Ukraine. Good evening, I'm Loretta Chiogo. This is News Now. The Sultan of Sokoto and President General, Nigeria's Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, NSCIA, Alhaji Saad Abubakar III, has urged Nigerian politicians to allow peace to reign in the country. Abubakar, in his Eid al-Fitr Salah message to Nigerians in Sokoto, said politicians in the country should play the game of politics with faith, love one another and ensure none of their supporters was involved in breaching peace and unity. Abubakar appreciated the Sokoto state government and other wealthy individuals across the country for their sustained support to the needy throughout the period of Ramadan. As Muslims worldwide celebrate the end of Ramadan fast, also known as Eid al-Fitr, I beg your pardon, the end of Ramadan brings so much relief and joy to Muslim faithfuls globally, and Nigeria is not an exception. Plus TV News captured events across states of the Federation. We'll bring you the report now. The early morning prayers is a usual norm to signal the end of Ramadan. In his sermon, the chief imam of Port Harcourt Central Mosque, Imam Malik Yahaya, called on Muslim faithfuls to continue the unity, peace and love shared during the period of fast.
Brothers Islam, to greet one another with salam. Those who know and those whom you don't know, greet them with salam. Spread salam. If you spread salam, there will be love among you. When you spread salam, there will be peace among you. When you spread salam, there will be unity among you. Vice President General of the Rivers State Council for Islamic Affairs, Nasir Hor, and other Muslim faithfuls also spoke on the significance of Ramadan and the need for the country to be in unity despite the insecurity experienced in some parts of the country.
If they live by the Quran and the Hadith, there is no reason why there should be unity in this country, because all Muslims are expected to be messengers of peace.
It's a privileged moment for everyone to see how him or her can change the backside of, his or her life so that we can continue as a people to improve in our living.
As Muslims who has fasted this 30 days of Ramadan, it is enjoined upon us to be patient and also be thankful to our Creator.
One of the tenets of Islam is for us to ensure unity, cohesion, and peaceful coexistence. And that is what one of the lessons we have to derive from this Ramadan.
In the southwest, in Osun State, the state governor, Boyega Oyetola, harped on the need for all Muslims to imbibe the virtues of peace, which he described as one of the strongest tenets of Islam. He spoke alongside his wife.
My message to our people is to ensure we maintain peace in the state. Without peace, there can be no development. I want to enjoy them to please ensure we maintain absolute peace in the state. I want to enjoy our children to be law-abiding, to have the fear of God. I want to enjoy our parents to ensure fairness in the way they handle the affairs of their children.
I greet all the people of the state of Osun. We thank God for the completion of this year's Ramadan. I wish everybody well. I would like to advise our women to take proper care of their children. We thank God the issue of GBV is getting to an end in our state.
In the northern region and in Jos Plateau State, Muslims trooped out in their numbers to various prayer grounds to mark the end of Ramadan. At the Bochi Road prayer ground, Sheikh Yahaya Jingir, in his message, admonished Nigerians to be security conscious in the face of the daunting security challenges facing the nation.
The security of the nation is the responsibility of all of us. If every person gives or her own contribution to in tackling the security challenges with the fear of Allah, the society will be free from all forms of evil.
Other Muslim faithfuls who spoke to Plus TV News called on Muslims to always forgive and embrace peace.
If there is no peace within the society, there is nothing you can do at any given time. Even for you to come out and perform your prayer from your house, it cannot be done. So therefore, we are calling for all people of this country, just not Basa, that we should make sure that we embrace peace.
Kano State was not left out as faithfuls sang and danced to express their joy after completing the 30-day period of fast.
You can see we have Igbos, we have Yorubas, and we have also different tribes are coming here. So this coming together will also symbolize the identification of peace in Nigeria. So what I can say is that coming together, irrespective of our religion, irrespective of our tribes, will create harmonious relationships.
I pray to God Almighty, may God forgive us for all our sin. And make bring Nigeria together. We are all one. Forget about the religion. Forget about tribalism. Make all of us come back to God. We do mistake. We don't even pray to God. But this time around, everybody going back together. Any tribe, going back to God Almighty to leave Nigeria for us.
So when we believe that God is going to forgive us all our sin and provide for us all we needed, especially in Nigeria. Look what is happening generally. There's nothing that can solve this problem in Nigeria than prayer. So that's why this prayer is very important.
The only thing we are facing is hardship. Hardship, even though water to buy is 1 terkai 100 naira. Then talk less of the food where people will eat. The rice, even though Nigerian rice and foreign rice all cost in the market. Talk less of tomatoes and the meats.
In the Middle Belt in Makurdi, Benue State, Muslim faithfuls took to the streets of Wadata to celebrate. A Muslim faithful, Zainab Usman, stressed the need to celebrate the day with a show of love.
Alhamdulillah, I'm advising all our Muslim brothers and sisters that Eid Mubarak, we are supposed to celebrate it in a peaceful and mindful way. And I'm wishing all the Muslim brothers and sisters and even our Christian brothers and sisters to be with us together and celebrate this Eid Mubarak.
In all they're asking, they want peace, love, unity, and a country devoid of insecurity. As Muslims across the world celebrate Eid al-Fitr, the Chief Imam of Ekiti State, Alhaji Bello Kewulere, wants them to put into practice the salient lessons of perseverance, humility, devotion, and love for one another learned during the just concluded Ramadan fast in their day-to-day activities. Other Muslim faithfuls at the praying ground decried the high rate of insecurity in the country while urging the leaders at the helms of affairs to be more proactive in this regard.
As we all know, in Nigeria, the Ramadan fasting, it posts a great lessons to all Muslims, particularly those at the ends of affairs in Nigeria. I mean, our leaders in Nigeria that are taking the affairs of government. We know the lessons that Ramadan teaches us. Firstly, if you are a Muslim that took part in this Ramadan fasting, you will know that it teaches truthfulness. That is, you must be truthful in all your deeds or all your dealings with human affairs.
Almighty Allah wants us to feel the way poor people are feeling. Somebody who is hungry. When you fast from dawn to dusk, you know how it feels for somebody not to have, somebody to be hungry. So I wish that my Muslim brothers and sisters learn from this holy month. They learn from the lessons, and I urge them not to return to the vices.
If as at that time Prophet Muhammad can do that, why can't we copy that in Nigeria? The Jerusalem we are saying that people were going, Muslim too, they go.
They call them Haji Kudus. In that mosque of Jerusalem, go there, you will see that the church and the mosque are under the same roof, the same compound, and there is no problem. When the Christians were to offer, they are having their program, it is the imams that will be welcoming them, and they will be serving them tea during the Ramadan period. In the down, when the Muslims are supposed to pray for Subuhi prayer, the morning prayer, it is the Pope that will be serving tea to the Muslims. It is the Christian that will clear the snow on the staircase. Let us copy this. They are all religious center. Let us make it the same in Nigeria.
The need for collaborative efforts between security personnel and the citizens to combat the wave of insecurity in the country has again been brought to the fore. Taraba State Deputy Governor Haruna Manu, who stated this while addressing journalists shortly after performing the Eid prayer at the Taraba State University Mosque, Jalingo, called on Muslims to be steadfast and pray fervently during the festive period for peace to reign in all parts of the country.
It is important. We should continue to pray for our country. We have all heard what the Imam said. This country, we are at a very, very critical stage. The insecurity in this country, it is the responsibility of every citizen. So we should continue to pray for our country. And wherever we see those bad eggs amongst us, we have to expose them, even if they are your relative, even if it is your son. We have all of us that were in the mosque, we have heard what the Imam said. So it is important that we should continue to pray for our country, because without the country, all of us, without peace, you won't be able to do anything. You have heard what the Imam said in his sermon in the mosque. Without peace, peace is the bedrock of everything. Peace is the bedrock of development. Without peace, we won't be able to sleep.
Meanwhile, the number one citizen of the country, President Muhammadu Buhari, has assured Nigerians that the final battle against terrorists was approaching its conclusion and victory was within sight. In his Salah message, the president, who sent his best wishes to Muslim faithfuls, maintained that the fight against insurgency has been a long and hard one. He said, with the designation of bandit groups as terrorists, the challenges of banditry and kidnapping are being tackled. The president also expressed delight over what he described as impressive reports of the special operations to curb crude oil theft and illegal oil bunkering in the south-south zone of the country. Earlier, we were joined by the Imam, Dr. Abdul Fattah Olajobi.
Meant to respect the rights of our neighbors. And you see, in Islam, the Prophet said, Muhammad said, that he is not a believer who doesn't honor his neighbors. And your neighbors are not just the people that live with you or that are also Muslims. They can be non-Muslims. People that live 40 houses to your right, 40 houses to your left, 40 houses to your front, to your back. These are all your neighbors, and you must respect their rights. Because they are not Muslim doesn't mean you should treat them anyhow. And elections are coming, we need to behave with all civility. We need to practice goodness, even as the election comes. I would enjoin us to all get our voters card so that we will not just be complaining after somebody wins governorship or presidential elections, and then you complain about how badly the person is doing, and then you didn't go out to vote when you have the power to choose. So we need to do all this so that our nation can be great again. It's not supposed to be so difficult, because we fasted for 30 days. And neuroscience has shown that whatever you do for about 21 days consecutively, you do it daily for about 21 days, your brain gets used to it and you form a habit. During Ramadan, the Prophet taught us that when people look for your trouble, you tell them, in the Sa'im, I am fasting. When they look for your trouble, you avoid them. So after Ramadan, we're supposed to avoid people's trouble too. People are coming with trouble, you avoid them. Try to engage them reasonably. If you must use the law, use the law. Don't go through violence. These are some of the things we learned in Ramadan, and we should practice after Ramadan.
As Muslims worldwide celebrate the end of Ramadan fast, families and fun seekers headed to various relaxation spots to spend time with loved ones. Plus TV News was at some relaxation centers and brought back this report.
It's another holiday, this time dedicated to Muslim faithfuls after the Ramadan fast. Families head to various relaxation spots to spend time with loved ones.
All right, basically I came here to have fun.
I'm just happy being at home. I'm not going to work today, just having fun. Came here for this fun, that's all.
Yeah, I got a bit of pop-up seat. So I'm enjoying pop-up here. And I'm also not a Muslim, but it's like it signifies the end of their fasting. And I don't really know the story behind it, but so I think that's that.
Honestly, I'm not a Muslim, but I know it's like celebrating after like so many days of like fasting, and it's the way to like celebrate the success of the fast.
While some hope for a much peaceful, united and economically strong Nigeria, others say they live each day one step at a time. And this moment is to free the mind of all distasteful issues in the country. Uyime, Plus TV News.
The permanent secretary of the Lagos State Emergency Managing Agency, LASEMA, Dr. Femi Osointolu, has said that warning had been given to occupants of the Ebute Meta Collapse building concerning the status of the building. Osointolu spoke with Plus TV News at the site where efforts were ongoing to rescue others trapped under the rubble. As at the time of filing this report, our correspondent Paul George was there and now reports.
It was a bittersweet Eid al-Fitr celebration as sympathizers thronged Ibadan Street to see the building that caved in at about 10 p.m. on Sunday, killing 8 persons and leaving about 23 others injured.
This is a building that clearly early warning has been given concerning the status of the building. Inasmuch that we sympathized with those that lost their beloved ones, we need to state it clearly that we will not tolerate this type of man-made disaster.
Okay, Osointolu warns that such warnings shouldn't have been ignored.
When we got there, at that time, we were having close to 20 people rescued. So at the end, so far, we have 23 people rescued alive and 8 people recovered dead. Out of the 8, 3 females, 5 males.
Johnson Adejare, who claimed to be a family member to the owner of the collapsed building, and at the same time, the Secretary of the House corroborates the claims of the DG that the owner of the building had been informed about its status.
2 years ago, we called the developer that, look, this is situation at hand. The house is not good again, it's not safe again. Come and do something about it. She ought to, because the real developer of Chumba, Restructuring Nigeria Limited, died. Then the woman, the wife, took over from him. Then she kept on collecting money. Uppermost, at the top, at the last floor, the third floor, we have a room at the parlor, like 5 there. Then at the second floor, we have 4 flats. Then at the first floor, we have 4 flats too.
One of the survivors was glad he came out alive.
And what I imagined that the building is collapsing, and I was naked. So when we reach ground, I now make sure that I don't put fear in my mind that what will be. But people came to rescue me. I feel bad, most especially a boy that they call David. He always be with me, he walked with me, but may his soul rest in peace.
As the rescue operations continue, friends and families hope that those who are still trapped in the rubble are rescued alive. Paul George, Plus TV News.
Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has commiserated with families of those who died or sustained injuries and were affected in the building collapse at Ebutemeta area of Lagos. He lamented the embarrassing frequency of building collapse in the country. The president commended the courage and determination of the first responders, national and subnational emergency agencies in Lagos State, and that of compassionate Nigerians. The leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, has dragged the federal government to the Court of Appeal to challenge the amended 7 charges on terrorism granted by Justice Binta Nyako of the Federal High Court in Abuja. He was challenging the decision of the court as contained in the ruling and final decision, retaining counts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, and 15 of the amended charge delivered on April the 8th, while Justice Nyako struck out counts 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 of the charge. She okayed Kanu's trial on counts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, and 15. The Lagos State Commissioner of Police, Abiodun Alabi, has met with 2 factional transport leaders in the state, Musili Akinsanya, popularly called MC Oluomo, and Aziz Abiola, also known as Esti Jaba. In a statement, the CP warned that any person found causing trouble anywhere within the state would be arrested and made to face the law. The CP noted that the warning has become imperative following incessant clashes, fracas, and malicious damage to the property recently experienced in some parts of Lagos State, mostly linked to the issues surrounding the management of motor parks within the state. And away from Lagos, the Catholic Diocese of Makurdi in Benue State has insisted on their decision to take back Catholic schools being managed by the Benue State government. The Deputy Director of Communication in the diocese, Reverend Father James Utav, said the process was ongoing as some of the schools were being managed by the Catholic, Church have been giving sound and moral education. Our correspondent in Makurdi, Francis Ter, filed in this report.
Father Utav maintains that the standard of education in the country has dropped, as well as spiritual and moral formations. He says little attention is given by the present managers of the schools in the state.
The argument is still ongoing. I think, like in our own diocese here, the Diocese of Makurdi, the bishop is handling some of the schools, and those he is handling, you can see clearly. Like a few days ago, we inaugurated the Divine Mercy Minor Seminary, and the bishop is in charge completely. And you can see, I don't need to begin to tell you what is going on there. For those who have been there, they know exactly what is happening. And schools like St. Joseph Nima and most of that, I don't want to begin to call out names of schools that the bishop is handling. And you can see that speaks for itself.
In line with the decision of the Catholic Education Service, the Regional Superior of the LaSalle Brothers, the Reverend Dr. Moses Abunya, believes it is even more important to return the schools to its owners as the standard of education has fallen beyond imagination.
If any school is going to offer the best education, it's got to be the Catholic Church. I don't say that with bias because I am a religious in the Catholic Church, but experience and records have shown the Catholic Church has the track record to offer not just academic, but moral, spiritual, and all-round form of education. So, if we look at the schools that once belonged to the Catholic Church and have been taken away by the government, all of them have been destroyed or nearly destroyed. Now, people say that Catholic education has become very expensive, and it may be difficult for the Catholic Church to run the schools. Let me tell you why the Catholic schools have become very expensive. Since government took away some of the schools, a lot of the people ran to the schools because government was taking on the responsibility for the tuition and the running of the school. The schools that the Catholic Church took on, therefore, had to rely heavily on tuition. But because a lot of the young people ran to the public schools, the number coming to the Catholic Church reduced.
The principal of Mount LaSalle College, NACA, Reverend Godwin Bain, expresses confidence in the Catholic Education Service, describing the decision as timely.
Teachers out in the public domain there who are sponsored by the government are most of the time demoralized because you see sometimes they complain of salaries. The Catholic education is not into that type of issues and problems. All the people working under Catholic education services are taken care of, well motivated, and they are always ready to work and to give their best to nurture children under their care. And so that decision is so much welcome.
It is a common belief that schools managed by religious organizations build the moral, spiritual, and academic upbringing of the children in their care.
The prices of food and other commodities keep skyrocketing daily, touching on the cost of living in Nigeria. Feel the pulse of the people on Street Views.
You expect seriously, we can't even explain because in my place of work, the place I would normally pay 500, go and come back. That was 2014, 2015. Now I pay 1,200, go and come back. So every day, a month, the transport is just like more than 30,000 just for transport, which I was spending like, I was always calculating 8,000 or 10,000 naira for my transport every month. But now the transport fare is moving from 10,000 to 30,000 every month. For the 26 days, I always work. So it affects seriously, I can't even explain. It affects badly. So some of those money, we normally use it, maybe as you are coming back, you buy things for your children at home. But now in order to, we can't save. We can't save.
We just have to like keep on going with it now. We just hope it gets better. So how we are coping is work harder, and that's just what we can do.
I'm into food business, so I know it's affecting a lot, particularly trying to get customers. When you give them prices of stuff that we do, they complain that it's too expensive. But due to the constant increase in sales, in pricing, it's really affecting the business. So we hope the government will look into that. The price is way too expensive. Take for example, a bag of flour last year was going for about 10,000, but now it's going for like 22,000, 23,000, depending on where you get it.
When you look at the rate at which prices of commodities are going up, is very, very high. In fact, average Nigerians are finding it very difficult to cope. And we want government to do something as soon as possible before things get out of hand.
I think it has really affected it adversely because things are quite costly now, and the things that we used to get for a particular price has actually gone up. So we need to improvise and, like they say, cut our clothes according to our size, right? But we try, we manage. Like, okay, when I was coming now, I had a small issue with my car, and I had to get, I think the person that I wanted let me fix it said I should get, what is it called? Jowl, ordinary jowl. Then we used to get it for like 1, 2 or thereabout. But when I bought now, it's 2.5. Now. You get, so everything, food, rent, everything.
That one is, I don't even know what to say. It's been God. You know, buy something today, by the time you get to the market, it has tripled the price. So it's being consistent with the price. It's not as if it's going down, it's going up. So there are some things you really want to eat, but you cannot afford it. So you just leave it out there and eat the basic things. So it has affected my daughter. Like my daughter likes berries a lot. And berries that I used to buy for 1,000, now it's 3,000. I can't afford to always buy berries for her. So it's affected
I don't even know what to say about it. Cost of living, water now. We used to buy 600, now it's 750. Maybe by the time you go next month, it could be 800 or so. It's affected a lot of things. So you now start considering, should I not drink clean water? Should I just drink from the bowl? It has affected a lot of things. So your health now is at risk because your meals are no longer balanced diet. So you have to weigh options. What will you eat and what you will not eat? That's affected a lot of things.
Still ahead, Chad junta postpones reconciliation dialogue to a later date. Details coming shortly.
Life can be fun and rewarding, but it also comes with some risk. As in business, you win some, you lose some. And that's why you need to be wise in the choices you make. It's like placing a bet. Again, you need to be wise. Wise in choosing an innovative platform with the highest market options and highest odds ever. That's why Winners Golden Bet, the leader in online, in-shop, virtual, and live sports betting, gives you enhanced platforms that offer you the best chances of winning. For betting on live soccer matches, live dog races, and virtual games. Winners Golden Bet is your best bet. Instant payment of winnings guaranteed. Play online or in any of our numerous shops nearest to you.
Hey guys, be wise. Play on Winners Golden Bet.
Winners Golden Bet, the wise choice.
You're welcome back. And from other parts of Africa, the buzzing streets of Cairo came alive as Egyptian Muslims celebrated the end of the month of Ramadan. Also, Nairobi residents gathered in the Rama Mosque in Kenya. Despite inflation exacerbated by the war in Ukraine, Imam Abdulghani Bashir urged faithfuls to continue to take care of the poor during and after the festive season. In Somalia, Muslims marked the day with new clothes and celebratory gatherings, while large crowds gathered at a mosque in Sudan's capital, Khartoum, to celebrate. And the military junta in power for more than a year in Chad has postponed to an unspecified date a reconciliation dialogue scheduled for May 10 before elections, while preliminary negotiations with the rebels dragged on in Qatar. Jemena agreed to the postponement of the forum, which should lead to a handover of power to civilians at the request of Qatar, which is mediating a pre-dialogue that has been stalled for a month and a half in Doha between the junta and the numerous rebel groups. The Chadian Foreign Ministry, however, did not give a new timetable. UN Chief Antonio Guterres has called on the military juntas in Burkina Faso, Guinea, and Mali to hand over power back to civilians as soon as possible. Speaking after meeting Senegalese President Macky Sall in Dakar, Guterres said they had agreed on the need to keep talking to the de facto authorities in all three countries so as to get a swift return to constitutional order. All three countries struggling with a jihadist insurgency in the Sahel region have recently experienced military coups. Mali in August 2020 and May 2021, Guinea in September 2021, and Burkina Faso in January 2022. The Moroccan government has pardoned some 29 people convicted of terrorism or extremism. The Justice Ministry said it was after officially expressing their attachment to the constance and sacredness of the nation and national institutions, revising their ideological orientations and rejecting extremism and terrorism. As a result, 23 pardoned persons would be released, while the remaining 6 would have their sentences reduced. The government in Burkina Faso has said that it has launched a judicial investigation into a flood at a zinc mine that left 8 workers trapped, with rescue efforts entering the 3rd week. It said the Canada-based Trevally Mining Corps suspended operations at its Perqua mine on April 16, when heavy rainfall caused flash floods and left 8 workers missing underground. Following a visit to the site, Burkina Faso's Prime Minister Albert Kedrago said that managers of the mine had been banned from leaving the country while investigations were underway into the cause of the accident. In Zambia, the health minister, Sylvia Masebo, has said that 300 health workers were among the approximately 4,000 victims of COVID-19 registered by the World Health Organization in the country. The minister, who encouraged all medical staff to get vaccinated, said that 22 new cases of COVID-19 out of 1,004 tests were detected in the last 24 hours. Masebo said her cabinet was going to relaunch the vaccination campaign next week and was planning to bring vaccines to all communities. And outside Africa, civilians have been evacuated from the bunkers of Mariupol's Azovstal steel works after the United Nations and the International Red Cross led a deal to ease the ordeal of the most destructive siege of the war in Ukraine. Details in this report.
Buses with evacuees from the besieged Azovstal plant in Mariupol travelled to the Ukrainian city Zaporizhzhia on Monday. The convoy was led by the International Committee for the Red Cross from Bezemen village. One evacuee, Yelena, said she had been sheltering at the factory since February.
The soldiers came and escorted the first 11 people out. Those who were seriously ill, had asthma or needed insulin, and also 3 of us randomly. More than 40 people, including little children, are left there.
Azovstal has been a hideout for hundreds of Ukrainian troops and civilians after Russia's incursion into Mariupol. The United Nations and Red Cross began an operation on April 29th to rescue women, children and the elderly sheltering there. Eyewitness video showed civilians emerging from the factory's rubble on Sunday and led to waiting coaches. Efforts to evacuate more civilians from Mariupol ran into delays on Monday, and hundreds of people were still trapped in Azovstal. It was not clear what was causing the hold-up of a convoy made up of civilians from the city itself. An aide to the mayor said Russian forces had resumed shelling the steelworks on Sunday after the earlier convoy of buses had left from that location. Russia has focused on Ukraine's south and east after it failed to capture Kyiv in the early weeks of the conflict. Thousands of civilians have died and 5 million have fled the country.
Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky has voiced concerns that evacuees from the Azovstal industrial complex could be taken by Russian forces into Russian territory. The first evacuees from the ruins of Mariupol's Azovstal steelworks, who were cowering in underground bunkers from Russian shelling for weeks, have arrived in the Ukrainian-controlled city of Zaporizhzhia. The United Nations and International Committee of Red Cross began an operation coordinated with Ukraine and Russia on April 29 to bring out women, children, and the elderly from the steelworks. The UN Human Rights Office has said that the death toll of civilians killed in Ukraine since the start of the Russian invasion on February 24th had exceeded 3,000 people. The humanitarian organization also said that the toll of 3,153 killed so far represents an increase of 254 from Friday, and that the real toll was likely to be considerably higher, citing access difficulties and ongoing corroboration efforts. Most of the victims were killed by explosive weapons with a wide impact area such as missile strikes and air strikes. That's according to the Rights Office. The U.S. Embassy in Ukraine has said that it hopes to return to Kyiv by the end of May if conditions permitted it. U.S. diplomats departed Kyiv embassy nearly 2 weeks before Russia launched its invasion of Ukraine on February 24, moving some functions to the western city of Lviv before eventually relocating to neighboring Poland.
I would say the message to Russia is you failed. Ukraine is still standing, the government is still functioning, and we're going back to Lviv first and then Kyiv to help the government. Today is my first day back in Ukraine, and we're doing it as a day trip. We expect to continue to do day trips for the next week or two. And then we very much hope that the conditions will permit us to go back into Kyiv by the end of the month.
The Danish Foreign Ministry has announced that it will reopen its embassy in Ukraine on Monday, following its closure immediately after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. This is coming as the Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky welcomed Denmark's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Jeff Kofod, to Kyiv, where the two sides held a meeting. Foreign Minister Kofod, who will reopen the embassy, described it as a very strong symbol of the Danish support for Ukraine and Ukrainians. Germany would be able to weather an EU embargo on Russian oil imports by the end of this year, even though a stoppage could result in shortages. Economy Minister Robert Habeck, who said this ahead of a meeting with his EU counterparts in Brussels, warned that such a shift would require a lot of preparations.
Germany is not against an oil ban on Russia. Of course, it is a heavy load to bear, but we are ready to do that. It would help if we have some weeks or months more time to do all the preparations, meaning the technical preparations. So we have to find some ships carrying oil from west to east. We have to prepare the harbors. We have to prepare the pipelines. So time is helpful, but I think other countries have bigger problems. And
as I mentioned, we are on the safe side. We are also ready when it comes to infrastructure to refine oil and to be fully independent from Russian oil. And I do believe that all European countries can do the same. We also express our solidarity, and we are ready to support countries, to supply them with non-Russian fossil fuels. We are ready to be solidarious with our infrastructure and to supply them if necessary.
Coming up next, Customs withdraws National Automotive Council levy, retains 15% add-on imported vehicles. That's in business news after this short break.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better? Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on Plus TV Africa as he probes deep in search of solutions. Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
So what are the top decisions that the United States considers necessary that Nigeria must take? I like to think of my interactions as conversations, not interviews. And that's why I say asking questions is both an art and a science. Everyone says in Islam you are allowed to have 4 wives. Is it mandatory? The right question enables answers that educate, inform, clarify, and help you, the viewer, to better understand the issue before making up your mind.
Our goal is to reduce from 10 to 2 days the time it takes to register businesses in Nigeria.
Join me every week on this station, Plus TV Africa, and gain exclusive access to my conversations. I'm Angela Ajetumobi.
And in business news, the federal government and Morocco are set to build the world's longest offshore pipeline and second longest pipeline in the world. And this will help to carry gas from Nigeria to Morocco, running across 11 West African countries. This was disclosed by Tolu Ogunlesi, one of the media aides of President Muhammadu Buhari, via his Twitter handle. According to him, the partnership, which is between the NNPC and ONHYM of Morocco, was originally signed by the two countries in June of 2018. And also the Nigerian Customs Service, NCS, has withdrawn the controversial National Automotive Council, NAC, levy on imported used vehicles though it retained its 15% add on tariff. However, the replacement of NAC with levy has triggered a fresh uproar among clearing agents. Apparently, the NAC title has been replaced with levy, but with the same controversial charges. Clearing agents and car dealers had kicked against introduction of NAC levy on imported vehicles and threatened to embark on industrial action. And a presidential aspirant on the PDP, Peter Obi, has warned that Nigeria cannot grow economically with a 35% unemployment rate. He's then urging the federal government to aggressively support micro, small and medium enterprises, which are the engine of job creation. Peter Obi disclosed these in his Workers' Day message to Nigerians. Nigeria's unemployment rate as of the end of 2020 rose to 33.3% from 27.1% recorded as of the second quarter in 2020, indicating that about 23,187,389 Nigerians remained unemployed. As investors weigh the impact of China's measures to contain the coronavirus and efforts by Europe to decrease its dependency on Russian fuel, oil fell at the start of the month. Prices of West Texas Intermediate futures fell as much as 1.2% after declining 0.6% on Friday. In Beijing, gyms and cinemas will be closed through Wednesday, and in Shanghai, virus protection measures will be in place. In the short run, crude oil price differentials have narrowed since early March, but prices remain bullish for some time. And that's business news. Thanks for watching. I am Destiny Mama. The news continues.
And up next is sports news.
And now sports. The match day 26 of the Nigeria Professional Football League clash between hosts Kwara United and Rivers United in Ilorin was marred by off-the-pitch incidents after both sides engaged in a counter-accusations following allegations by the visitors that they were attacked by fans of the hosts. After the game, videos emerged showing policemen ordering Rivers assistant coach Fatai Offshore, who was allegedly attacked by the home fans, into their team bus. But more footage countered the allegation, showing that no player or staff of the visiting team was attacked. Brentford fans were surprised when manager Thomas Frank and midfielder Christian Eriksen visited a heart screening program in London's Gunnersbury Park. The screenings, organized by the charity Cardiac Risk in the Young in association with the Brentford FC Community Sports Trust, took place in memory of the Premier League club's former technical director, Robert Rowan, who died in 2018. Rowan's wife, Suzanne, explained how she became involved with the scheme.
I think it's very important. I mean, to get the clear of something you can avoid. I think it's a very healthy thing to do, and obviously it's something that, even in my case, something happened like you wouldn't know what's going to happen. So to get that cleared out of the way from a doctor's perspective is only a positive thing.
World number one Novak Djokovic said that he was heartbroken after his former coach Boris Becker was jailed last week after concealing financial assets. Speaking on Sunday on the eve of the Madrid Open, Djokovic said he is a friend, a long-time friend, a coach for 3 years, someone I consider close in my life. He has contributed a lot to my success in my career. I was just heartbroken. Don't know what to say more than that.
He's a friend, a long-time friend, a coach for 3-4 years, someone I consider close and in my life, and he has contributed a lot to my success in my career. I was just heartbroken. I mean, don't know what to say more than that. It's definitely more on the mental and emotional side. You know, of course, I've never experienced anything similar to what I experienced at the beginning of the year, and I did not know how that's going to affect me, and it obviously still, you know, I still have to deal with it to some extent, you know, and it's not as powerful as it was in the first 2-3 months of the year. I feel like the more I play, the more I'm in this environment, the more comfortable I feel. But you know, lacking matches and this kind of environment under this kind of circumstances, it was not easy, you know.
And that's all from the world of sports. My name is Wally Scott. Happy Eid al-Fitr to all our Muslim faithfuls. Good night.
And the main news again, Muslims in Nigeria joined their counterparts around the world to mark Eid al-Fitr, signaling the end of the Ramadan fasting month. Muslims in Egypt, Kenya, Somalia, and Sudan celebrate Eid despite economic hardships. And the United Nations says more than 3,000 civilians killed in Ukraine. And that's news now. For more stories, please follow us on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. I'm Loretta Chiogo. Many thanks for watching and have a wonderful night rest.